Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Saturday Morning Gaming Show. It is November 21st, 2020, and I am your co-host, the Fat Wizard, joined today by...
Just Lobos.
Just Lobos.
Hi.
And today we're taking a look at Deus Ex, released on the PC, and it was in June 22 of 2000, so about 10 years and 6... Is that 20 years? 20 years and
20 years ago.
Months-ish. And that's about when I played that. So I was probably a strapping young 15-year-old, maybe. I'm not sure. And boy, this game was cool when I was 15. And it's got some cool stuff here. Lobos, you hadn't played this in the past, so I'm really curious.
I had not played. Well, okay, so my experience with the series was I had played a little bit of the second one and a little bit of Human Revolution, but I never played first one. So this was all new for me. And really interesting title for the times. I think back around the kind of turn of the century there, we were seeing a lot of these first-person shooter RPG hybrids. You know, like System Shock 2, which is an episode we covered in a prior episode on the Saturday Morning Gaming Show. And then, of course, Deus Ex here. And, you know, it's one of these things where it almost focuses more on the RPG stuff, and it just happens to have a cursor that you can fire a bullet towards. I wouldn't say the shooting feels super great. Now I know Lobos, you did a lot of run and gun in here. Oh yeah.
You know, is it on the par with Doom? Would you say?
Well, like you said,
not quite.
It's much more RPG. So there's RNG in your accuracy. So you can't reliably aim unless you start to really bump up your shooting skills. Then things become a bit more accurate. For example, I ran around with the sniper rifle.
Yeah.
And for the first however long, I was scoping, which, by the way, is like bracket on the keyboard to scope, so whatever. And many times it would just not hit the mark at all. And I'm like, what's going on? Yeah. Turns out...
It's like you're on a Ferris wheel actually trying to shoot, right? Like the cursor's kind of like moving all around.
Yeah, you're in the car and you're on a bumpy highway and you're trying to shoot like a bird or something. But it turns out that without scoping, it's actually very accurate. It's just a little bit harder to aim. So
I learned that from you watching your stream. I was like,
nice.
Actually, this is a viable strategy.
It was it's way better.
So editing this one was really interesting because it's a story and lore-rich game. I ended up with over 20 hours of footage, and we're trying to condense this into about an hour. So I had to kind of make a decision. It's like, what are we going to focus on? And I think the thing that works for the most part here is the story and the dialogue and the interactions with characters. So a lot of it's going to be focused around that and trying to make sense of the story. Just, you know, fair word of warning, the story is very complicated and convoluted. I'm going to try to make sense of it here with everyone, and I'm going to use Lobos as my official fact checker, because I know, Lobos, you got real deep into the lore, right? I saw you reading every single book and every single email transaction.
Yeah, everything, definitely.
So yeah, it's very possible that you listen to us and we're completely off base. Luckily, there's Wikipedia. If you ever actually want to read what the real story is, head on over there. But yeah, we're going to try to do our best to make sense of what's going on here. So the story sets us up as this. It's kind of like 2050, so 30 years in the future from where we are now, 2020. And there's, you know, cybernetics are sort of a new technology, right? And you get the sense of there's the old models of the cyborgs, and those have like wires and stuff. You can clearly see they're cyborgs. And then there's the new version, which I guess you and your brother, your name is JC Denton. Although you can name your character anything, right? What'd you name your character, Lobos?
I named my character JC Denton. So nice. They'll never know. They'll never know that.
Truly an epitome of a spy name right there is confusing them right out in the open. So good job. The other one is Paul Denton, and that's your brother. You are both part of like the new models, where I guess the idea is that they're not supposed to tell that you're a cyborg, despite the fact that you clearly have like I don't know, like weird things going on the side. I could tell. Basically, what I'm saying is if I saw this dude in a lineup, I'm like, that right there is a cyborg. That is not a human.
Well, maybe it's that it just appears as if you have like a couple of small augments as opposed to being much more fueled by this whole cyborg setup.
Yeah, and you wear sunglasses not because it's cool, but because the procedure or the technology gives you some albino characteristics, and I guess that means glowing red eyes. So you wear the sunglasses. Again, not to look cool. No, not to look cool.
Okay, fair enough.
It's to hide that you are genetically manufactured. So you start out the game. You basically there's a little cutscene. You remember what happens in the cutscene when you do new game, Lobos? You remember what happens there?
Let's see. I remember jumping into the tutorial. I don't know. You're talking about cutscene after that?
There's a tutorial, and then you actually start the real game, and you get like you get like the two talking heads, and one is like a mustache twirling evil man, and what you understand is that there's a virus that has kind of taken over the world called the Grey Death. And throughout story bits, again, I'm not sure when this is actually revealed, but it's more or less there's a antidote or something that suppresses the Grey Death, and it's called ambrosia.
Yeah.
And ambrosia there's a short supply of ambrosia. So what they're doing is the top bigwigs at Washington, they're kind of controlling the supply, and so the normal folk aren't able to get that. So it's kind of like a haves versus a have-not sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I believe you start out the first mission, right? I think you're told you need to go track down some stolen ambrosia. Is that correct?
I believe there's isn't this when you go into the Statue of Liberty?
Oh yeah, that's right.
And there's a guy you need to kind of capture or get some information out of. And
we just arrived there.
Oh, I see. Yeah, in the game.
That's right. So you're part of this group called UNATCO, and you actually kind of control, along with FEMA, you control the distribution, the sort of like supply and distribution of ambrosia. And there's this other group called the NSF, terrorists, and they are very clearly told that they are terrorists. In fact, the character's name we're talking to right now is NSF, terrorist leader.
That's his name. His mother named him that, so I mean, he had to join up whenever it was.
I mean, he was really kind of preordained to become the leader there. So, with a name like that, anyway, you talk to him, and he seems like a perfectly reasonable guy. And he's like, "Hey, we're just trying to look out for the people. We're trying to, get this medicine out to the people." And JC's like, "I don't care. My boss says." Whatever, and I think you guys end up like actually taking him in and whatnot.
Yes, or you can kill him, and then they're disappointed with you. They're like, But there's a lot of choices like that where you get to a point and you can approach the situation multiple ways, and it continues on in an interesting way.
Yeah, I think it's one of these games you can think of it. There's basically 3 different solutions for everything. There's this Lobos solution, which is blow it up. There's the Thefatwizard solution, which is sneak through the vents as much as possible, and then there's the hacker solution where you hack into the security grid and like disable robots, or you can actually swap the targeting solutions for machine guns to basically target enemies instead. And you can do any combination of that, right? So sure. I saw Lobos, you were kind of hacking in there a couple times. And doing,
I like the hacking a lot. I invested into, I think it's computers.
Yeah.
Is that the skill? Yeah, because there is hacking and then there's lock picking, and I did both of those. I actually like those these days in games. So
they're pretty cool.
I enjoyed. I mean, it was never difficult for me to hack and get what I want out of a PC. I don't know if it really is if you don't have points in it, but that's something that's hard to tell when you don't know the system. So
exactly.
Yeah, so I threw some points in there, and then there was a lot of overriding cameras and turrets and opening these doors and this and that. So it was fun.
Now I want to talk about the second mission. You go back. Actually, it's not the second mission. It's kind of like an interlude, and you go back to your UNATCO base, and you meet Gunther and I forget the other woman's name.
Oh, I forgot her name. They just showed her right
now.
now.
Yeah. In any case, it's a real classic. Oh, Anna Navarre. And it's a classic scene where Gunther. So, by the way, they're both kind of like old versions of cybernetic agents here, and they're standing in front of the vending machine, and Gunther's like, "They gave me lemon lime, and I wanted orange." Or no, I think he wanted lemon, and they got him orange or something. And Anna's like, "Well, you probably hit the wrong button." Gunther's like, "No, the maintenance man hates me. It was a conspiracy." So it's just, there's moments like that in the game that had a lot of charm, just kind of the banter. And when we go to Hong Kong, we're going to talk a little bit more about one of the dialogue I love here. But this is cool because what you do in UNATCO, the UNATCO base, is it's a moment of downtime to really just kind of like look at your computer, talk with everyone, understand the current situation, maybe, break into a couple buildings and steal some stuff. Who knows? No one's watching. No one cares. So what do you think about this type of, segue into more of like a downtime, Lobos?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy that transition?
Well, certainly with the events that play out in the story, it makes sense that they're like, all right, here's some time for you to figure out, where everybody is at in this organization, like how they feel about things, because very quickly stuff changes, and you have to make some quick decisions, and it all goes into that. So
one of the cool things about it is when you start the game, it is basically a cold open, right? It's basically, here's your mission right away. And then you go back to the base. And I'm thinking about it, I think what happened was the terrorists actually were taking over, and you had to actually basically clear the area out and kind of get your base back for UNATCO. I think that's what happened. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about some of the mechanics in the game here. Lobos, there's an inventory system. There's an augment system. Do you want to kind of walk us through some of the tabs you'll see in the inventory?
So if I had to describe the inventory system, it's kind of like Diablo or like Resident Evil 4, where you have a grid and every item is kind of an appropriately sized icon, or it's not appropriately sized, depending. And you have to kind of Tetris it all in there. So if you're picking up new stuff, it's going to fill up on its own, and you might want to rearrange that. And then you have a whole augment section where you have slots for like head augment, cranial augment, and then like 3 chest augments, arms, legs, nervous system. I can't remember exactly all the systems. Yeah.
And you actually find those out in the world. They're like little modules that you need to get installed in Medical Bot. So that's kind of an interesting thing, right? There's you have to find them in the world as opposed to just being able to level up. And I actually did run into a situation where I found an augment in the world, but I already had another augment installed. And I was like, well, darn, I guess I can't uninstall this. So you're just kind of stuck not being able to use the thing you wanted to.
Yeah, and you can only install them when you're nearby a med bot, I believe, because and that's usually like either back at the base, or if you're out and there's like a hospital area or some other place, someone's got a private one or something like that, and you can do that there. And then on top of that, you can find upgrade canisters for those augments. But then kind of more interestingly is how they actually function. They're tied to the F keys, and at any point...
Yeah, the function keys, like F1 through 12.
Yeah. And then at any point, you can activate it, and it starts draining, depending on the augment, your energy for your cyborg being, if you want. And I found that really inconvenient for a lot of the times. So the only times I would generally use it is like if I'm premeditating about to do something, like I'm going to do a sweet run and jump, or I'm going to punch this dude really hard, and I would turn on my punch
activate
augment.
Your super strength.
That's right.
Yeah, I'll say that is a thing that has stayed true to the Deus Ex series all the way through.
Interesting.
Whatever the latest one, Mankind Divided. I've never been a fan of that, because what I ended up doing is just basically hoarding. So you have essentially it's basically like a med pack, but it's a battery, and so you can carry it around, and you have limited charges of it, and you can't just go out and buy unlimited ones. And so what I ended up doing is I basically beat the game with never really using my augments because I was like, well, I'm going to wait for the moment that I need it. And so I hoarded all my items. Is that the kind of your experience as well too?
Yeah, I mean, towards maybe the latter 20% of the game, I started using them more because I got the augment that heals you over time.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
great.
If I ever got into like a big firefight, I would just throw that on and just start like. At that point, I had a particularly good sword.
Yeah.
And I would just run into people and just sword them, even if they were giant mechs. And I was all right, yep, let's see how this goes.
I can heal through the damage.
Yeah. And because I had a stack of 25.
Oh, yeah.
I think what it was is I hit the stack limit, and then I was like, okay,
then you can
time to
start using it, right?
Yeah, start using these.
Yeah. Now, just in the video you saw me, we're basically trying to take control of a hotel. There's a hostage situation. The NSF terrorists have a bunch of hostages, and you go up there, and I just kind of run and gun some folks there. And I initially thought I was going to do a stealth run, but it's one of these where the AI is kind of finicky, and you're like, yeah. So I ended up trying to approach it more like James Bond. Where it's like, like he tries to hack and all that stuff, but when it comes to it, he's just gonna go through and run through and quickly kill some fools. And
he'll get the drop. Quickly
he gets the drop, kills a couple people. If he's got to blow up a mech, he blows up a mech, and try to be like very strategic in what I'm doing, because they do offer non-lethal opportunities to kill or to knock out enemies. So there's like a baton you can use. There's a cattle prod, or it's a stun rod, whatever. There's a tranquilizer dart, but the thing is, they don't really do a good job of knocking them out. Like what I would expect is like, I sneak up behind a guy with a rod and I hit him in the head and he knocks out, or I put a dart in him and he kind of like, but he kind of gets up. He's like, oh, they're all around me. Hit the alarm. And you're like, well, what is the purpose of this tranquilizer dart if it basically lets him run around for free? If your idea is I want to take these out non-lethally, like, just shoot him in the head. Like, I guess that's what I ended up doing.
Was there a skill? Like, could you skill up the effectiveness of the tranquilizer
I think so.
dart?
So I think tranquilizer dart is going to be with basically a handgun. It's treated as a handgun, right? But I'm like, well, why don't I just use like a silenced pistol, and that shoots him in the head and kills him, and I don't have to wait for him to kind of run around. So, But I think thematically the idea. I think it's always one of these things where it's like, I want to be a ghost and I want to pretend that they never even knew I was there. Like, I shut all the doors behind me as I walk in and no one spotted me and I didn't knock anyone out. And that's always fun to try, but at the same time, it's just so time consuming to do. And I was like, let's move on here.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and in kind of the opposite way, the AI in certain cases is very bad at seeing you.
Oh, yeah.
So you didn't even need to try and like sneak around too much. You just like run at him at the right angle and then just punch him in the face and he'd be like, ah!
Yeah, my favorite is like, you can activate your super strength to actually pick up large iron bricks.
Oh, yeah.
And you can like pick them up and slam them down. It's like clonk. And then a guard will be like, what was that? Oh, I guess it's just the rats. It's like,
oh, yeah. Very quick to forget what they just
Oh, it must have been the wind. All right, so let's talk about a little bit what we're doing here. So we get the sense that Paul... basically, actually, what happened, Paul went to Tokyo, and he kind of doesn't really tell you a lot about why he was in Tokyo. But then you learn that Paul has actually kind of gone rogue. And so your boss is very angry. He's actually just kind of very angry because all the situations he throws you into are not great. And you do get the sense that there's someone from above. And actually, we're seeing these two men in black suits actually walk out of the building. You think like MI6 or not MI6, Men in Black style, like men walking out. And you hear that there's someone from like Washington here. Basically yelling at your boss. So anyway, your boss is very upset because your brother, Paul Denton, has basically gone rogue. And they're actually kind of worried about you because more or less you are both created from like the same, not specimen, but like same vat, if you will. Basically, you're both like part of the same like sequence of cyborgs. Like you're version 2, and so I think he was the first version 2, and you're like the second. So they're worried a little bit there.
Yeah.
And so there's this guy named Government Official who is just yelling. I guess he's not yelling, but he's very sternly criticizing your boss, Manderley. And
Manderley.
You can kind of like listen in there, which is great. And get a little bit of understanding. And actually, what's cool, I don't know if you did this, Lobos, is the guy from Washington, you can actually follow him, and he'll actually go to the detention center and actually start interrogating some of the NSF in the prison. Did you see that?
Yes, I did see that. I did follow him.
And he actually turns around. He says something like, "JC Denton, I see you there," or something like that.
Yeah,
so it's kind of cool. There's a lot of depth to this game if you're willing to explore not just the items you pick up, like we're talking about those augment canisters, but just like a lot of world building, and it's really cool.
Also, I went into the ladies' restroom, and the lady in there was just like, "I'm going to tell Manderley that you're peeping on everybody."
And he scolds you too, right?
Yeah,
he's like, and by the way, JC, stay out of the women's restroom. It makes us look bad.
I think like 1 or 2 trips back to the home base later, she's talking to like a soldier, and you go up to them, and she's like, "Oh, this is the guy I was talking about," and I'm like, "What?" Okay,
I love that. Again, there's a lot of little things that this game does that allow you to make it your own, and I think at least the first half of this game is really special, and I really, really enjoy it. By the way, talking a little bit about the structure of it, it's a very long game, and I feel like the first half is probably the most interesting. And so we're going to spend the majority of our time looking at the first half of the game, and then we'll kind of blow through the last half. And I just really quickly wanted to think, now that I've stated that, Lobos, what was your thought? Do you feel like it has an even pace, or do you think it goes off the rails a little bit?
So for me, like this kind of game, I really enjoyed just like the running around and messing with stuff and seeing what happens. So that kept the pace going fine because they give you lots of areas to mess around with.
A ton of levels.
Mm-hmm.
There's 13 official levels in the game, and some of the levels are like 4 levels long.
Yeah. So I didn't really feel too bad about the pacing, but if you were just like trying to really follow the story and hitting all the sweet, parts of the story, just I could see it slowing down a bit.
If you just want a crit path.
It also kind of goes a little crazier later too. So
yeah. Okay, so this is the part I was actually a little bit confused about or incorrect about. This is the part where there are some stolen shipments of ambrosia, and they are on the helipad, or basically LaGuardia Airport. And you're tasked with finding these ambrosias ambrosia canisters. And you see sort of, it looks like the boat docks. There's like a little boat dock, and there's the first one, ambrosia, we just found. And of course there was a guard he actually had a flamethrower, and it was kind of cool because he hit him with the flamethrower and it just jumped in the water, and it's like, oh, that's all good.
Nice.
And then the second one you go to the actual private hangar, and lo and behold, who is this that's here?
That's your brother. Oh yeah, I didn't recognize him, but
yeah. And he basically says, "Hey man, I'm swapping over to the NSF," and he basically gives you the lowdown. He says, I think what you've started to expect is that the people you're working with, UNATCO, they are actually part of the organization which is spreading or manufacturing the Gray Death and basically creating this artificial demand for ambrosia to take power from the world.
Yep.
And JC's kind of playing it cool. He's like, nah, do you really believe what they're telling you there? And then he's like, no, I mean, all right, well, you do what you want, JC. I'm going to go. And then you can go in and interrogate this guy named Juan Lebedov. I guess he's another one of the leaders. And they actually, I think they specifically tell you to assassinate him, right?
I think they don't mention it, but then Anna runs in after you talk to her, and she's like, if you don't finish him off, I'm going to do it. And,
did you finish him off?
Well, I did every option. I killed him by myself. Okay. She ran in and told me to kill him, and I killed him. she ran in. She told me to kill him, and I killed her. And, well, you actually, I don't remember if you can kill her there. I think she might be invincible.
Yeah, she probably is because she comes up in the story a little bit later. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, Anna kind of looks like a female version of Kano from Mortal Kombat because she's got like that red eye. Yeah. But yeah, so I actually was just interrogating Lebedov, and after a while, Anna gets fed up, and she's like, "All right, I'm killing him." Yeah. And funny, I just like kind of picked up the body and I started to just like kind of carry it home. I was like, I'm not letting this guy go.
Oh,
but yeah, she definitely chastises you for not killing Lebedov. And she's like, I'm going to tell Manderley. And sure enough, you go into Manderley and he chews you out. He's like, what is your deal, man? Like, we cannot afford... Listen, I got Washington breathing down my back here. Yep. I can't have you going rogue on us also. So they're very, very upset with you. I actually really like this tension that's building here because it's not like you flip right away, right? It's like your brother flips and you're kind of like, well, I'm still employed here. Like there's some weird stuff going on, but whatever. You guys are keeping me fed, so I'm gonna stick with you, even though he's kind of like starting to ask questions, right?
Yeah.
So I think I really love this. And then the next mission, I think this is the one where they tell you to go to Tokyo to meet a man named Tracer Tong, and you learn that was the individual.
Hong Kong.
Sorry, yeah,
it's Hong Kong. But I think before that, don't they have you go after your brother?
Yes, yeah. So we're going to just a second here.
Oh,
so yeah, you're supposed to go to Hong Kong to meet Tracer Tong, and if you remember at the start of the game. Paul's said he had a contact and he didn't know, he wouldn't tell you who, but Manderley basically told you that. And so, yeah, you're right. You go meet your pilot, Jock is kind of like he's your buddy. He takes you to all the missions and you feel like he's the one that you can really depend on, right?
I love Jock. He's so good.
Jock is so cool.
He's always there for you when you need him.
Yeah, he flies this, it's basically like a Black Hawk helicopter, right? And he drops you off in New York, in Hell's Kitchen there, and he says, hey, we're not going to go to Hong Kong yet. You got to go find your brother. So here's what I thought was really interesting. When I played this game when I was about 15, I thought that this was a decision I could alter. So I actually like reloaded my save file, and I was like, because I'm like, I don't want to ally with the NSF. I want to ally with UNATCO. How do I make that decision?
Right.
And so I actually spent some time looking around. I'm like, oh no, that's the story. You cannot ally. Once you learn about this, your character moves over to the NSF. So, yeah. And what do you do here? I think your objective is to talk to Paul, right?
There is another choice here, which I had a funny experience with. But Paul's kind of hurt in his little hideout. It's in the hotel room, and he tells you about, what he knows. And at some point, he's like, "They're coming for me. Like, you need to escape out the window and make your way out." And if you do that, then he winds up actually getting killed by like agents and stuff. But what you can do is stand up to them and use your giant GEP gun rocket launcher and nuke them to heck, and then he actually survives.
Nice.
But what I did, apparently, I killed them all, no problem, or I almost did. Apparently, if you do that and then you just escape out the window, it triggers him dying anyways.
Do you have to talk to him first or something?
No, I think you have to go out the normal exit of the hospital or the hotel because apparently there's some more enemies in like the lobby or whatever that you take care of.
I'm curious what sort of what happens if he stays alive, because later on you eventually do go and find his body to, I think, pull a chip out of his head, right? Something like that. Yeah, I
know that there were parts where my chat was like, "Oh, they swapped, like, because Paul is dead. This isn't Paul anymore." So there would be other interactions with him and stuff. So really
that's cool. Yeah. There's a lot of things if you want to play this game multiple times and kind of try out new things.
Yeah.
There's enough that you could probably get a solid playthrough and still see some really new, cool stuff. I'm not sure that it's going to alter it that much. You're not going into new areas. You might see some new dialogues. I don't think it's going to open up any new areas for you. Actually, that's not true. I think there are a couple things that people help you out with.
But also, you could do a whole different set of skills, and then instead of being the full hacky guy, just be like a Rambo gunman or whatever. One of the things. So
I was just going to say that this is the point where you actually turn. You go up to the top of a building, and what they want you to do is broadcast a distress sequence to the NSF. And the minute that you turn those satellites around and go up, and then you broadcast it, everyone gets aggro on you. Everyone who because you just went up this flight of stairs, and they're all friendly to you, and you can talk to them, and then you flip that signal, and they're all angry at you, and that is the moment that you officially swap over to the NSF.
Yeah, I think you send some sort of data out to
that's right.
To the NSF. Yeah, and you have to break into that room. Like I had to hack. I hacked the computer, and then I hacked the computer to open the door, and then you have to actually hack the satellite. But yeah, then everybody starts attacking you, and you can just get out of Dodge.
Get out! Mm-hmm. I knew they were going to come after me because I kind of tried and failed a couple times. So actually, what I ended up doing is you can plant these landmines on the wall, and so what happens? Is I just as I was like walking by, just like checking out the stairway. So I'm just gonna put some landmines here, buddy, if you don't mind. And then since they're friendly, they don't trigger. But the minute they flip factions, they're boom, and that was satisfying. I killed out most of the group here.
Mm-hmm. So I turned on my legs augment, which makes you faster, jump farther, and also take less fall damage. And I just jumped off the building.
Oh, you just jumped it. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so I skipped that whole interior because I was like, I'm not gonna go fight all this.
Now here, I want to see how you dealt with this, because this next part you basically get captured, but you can get captured one or two ways. Who captured you, Anna or Gunther?
Gunther did.
Okay, so did you actually try to sneak out like I did?
Anna, I think at this point Anna fights you, and I killed her. And
I didn't know you could kill her here.
Yeah, you can kill her. So, and then on your way out, I think Gunther finds you.
Yeah. So what happened to me was Anna. I think you come out of. So after that mission of you sending the satellite stuff out, you come back from a train and Anna's waiting for you, but you can actually sneak around like through the vents and go up and outside, and Gunther's waiting for you. And at that point, there's no fight there. He basically automatically captures you. And this is one of the coolest portions of the game. What did you think? I want to know what you thought about this, Lobos.
See, at this point, there was no Anna talking to me here, as I'm seeing here on your video.
Because we're in a detention cell right now.
Yeah. So this point, you get contacted by a question mark individual, right?
He identifies himself as Daedalus.
Yep. And he's like, I'm going to help you out. You do your thing here and make your way out.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to open up your cell. You have 10 seconds. And I actually kind of sat here for a little bit to see what would happen, but I think it just opens it up and stays open. And this is really cool because this is like, think about those traditional Metal Gear things when you get captured and they take all your inventory, and you kind of have to break out of prison. I absolutely love these in games.
Yeah. It definitely shakes things up because you don't have your everything you're used to having, so you just got to think of new ways to approach the situations. Yeah.
And so you eventually do go to the armory and you can pick up all your stuff here. And Daedalus is, kind of guiding you through. And he, as you get closer to what would be the exit here, he says basically, hey, you're going to be walking into a new building. Some of your contacts, or some possible contacts, maybe Anna Navarra, Sam Manderley. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. This feeds you right back into the UNATCO headquarters. And sure enough, you open up like a secret wall, and you realize that this detention center was actually part of UNATCO. And that's really, I love that. That's so cool, man.
Yeah. And I guess, so I didn't see this. I'm watching now.
Yeah, so this is great. Watch this. Because I'm in a dialogue, and so each of the old models has an instant kill switch. And I don't remember how you do it. I think I learned there's two parts of her kill switch. There's a part you find, I think someone might tell you, it might be Alex, and then another part you can find on a computer. and her kill switch is Flatlander Woman. And so she kind of taunts you. She's like, hey, I'm going to kill you. And JC says, take your best shot, Flatlander Woman. And she's like, how did you know? And then just immediately blows up.
It blows up. Oh,
and I think you
nice.
can do the same with Gunther later on when you have to find him. Although I didn't do that route.
I didn't do that, but I remember people telling me that you could. Yeah. And at this point, you can kind of converse with all the other members of UNATCO and try to convince them to come with you as you're escaping.
Or stay and be like a secret man inside.
Right. Let's see. I think I talked to the doctor, was it Jaime or
Yeah, I think that's right.
And Alex here. I told them to go, and I don't remember if I think Manderley was not available to a talk for some reason, maybe he just was.
I actually went up. I went to Manderley's office and straight up executed him, which is kind of funny because later on there's some dialogue that seems to suggest that Manderley's orders were to capture you or something like that. I'm like, I killed Manderley about 10 hours ago, but whatever.
Whoops.
So you escape here, and Jock brings you to Hong Kong. By the way, you're told that you also have a kill switch in you, but it takes 24 hours. And that's actually, so now let's go back to Paul Dunton. They activated his kill switch, and that's why he's kind of slumped over in his hotel, because the kill switch takes 24 hours, but he's not feeling really well, right? You start to lose some of your capabilities. And so you were in the detention cell for some time, and then you fly to Hong Kong, and so you basically have 12 hours left. And you have to go meet Tracer Tong in Hong Kong to deactivate your kill switch, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I see you hacking into this like kind of mall shopping.
Yeah, it's like a little 7-Eleven that I'm hacking into.
Yeah. I did this exact same thing. Although you noticed that there was a control panel right there on the door, and I did not. So I did it all just sneaking through. And because the way that the security cameras work in this is if they see you, they'll like start making a sound. And if they keep seeing you for like 5 seconds, then they'll actually trigger the alarm. But if you can manage to get out of line of sight before that goes off, then you can let it reset, and then you get that 5-second window again. So and
there's it's great because there's all sorts of stuff you can pick up in here. There's booze, which by the way is annoying because it does heal you. So I drank a ton of booze in this game, but it also clouds your vision pretty badly. I think I spent most of my time both in Hong Kong and in Paris drunk, and I figure that's sort of appropriate for Paris.
Yeah,
right?
That sounds right. Sounds about right.
Yeah. But there's a club there, and in between the club and one of the streets in Hong Kong, there's that 7-Eleven. And then you can go into the club, and there's 2 women there, and the women say, hey, you want to get me into this club? And you can be like, all right, cool. You pay like 20 credits or whatever. And then she keeps wanting drinks, right? Did you buy her any drinks?
Yeah,
I
did.
She just keeps drinking, man, and she never gives you any information. She just will take all your money.
I also purchased an escort. I don't know if you did as well. There's a lady there who's like, I can, this lady will escort you for this much. And I was like, okay. But she basically just like very closely follows you around. And if you try to talk to her, she just says, what is your job? And like stuff like that. And you're like, okay, all right. I'm done. So
again, I love the dialogue. And I think in Hong Kong here, this is one of my favorite places in the game because there's so much colorful stuff that goes on here. One of the first things you see is this little boy who, by the way, looks like it's basically an adult model, just scaled down, and then
they
like
put a baseball cap on.
Yeah,
him.
baseball cap. I think his name is like Lo Chan or something like Lo Pan or something like that. And he basically he goes up to this this newsstand. He's like, hey lady, I'm your new bodyguard. I will make sure no one steals any money from you.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, no, you already stole money. And he's like, I will do a good job. And it's so funny. And he kind of comes back and forth to this guy named Gordon Quick, which we saw a little bit earlier, and we'll see a little bit later as well. He's actually one of the members of the Triad in Hong Kong here.
Right, because there's a couple gangs here.
Yeah. And so he basically just like hustles this woman to be her security, and it's so good because it's one of these things where you have to follow the characters around back and forth a couple times.
Yeah.
I did see you do that, Lobos.
Mm-hmm.
I just got a chuckle following that along. Also, there's a restaurant that there's a person that goes, like one of the triads, and they say, hey, I want some money, and the guy's like, no, I already paid you. He's like, well, okay, I hope the health inspectors don't mind rats. And all of a sudden, rats just spawn all over the restaurant. And then that guy goes down to the security guard down below, and he says, hey, I think there's a bunch of rats up in this establishment.
Yeah, man.
So again, there's a lot of really cool little things to observe and take in there. Did you have any that you really enjoyed beside those, Lobos?
My favorite was the one I mentioned earlier about going into the ladies' room.
Oh, the ladies' room.
She gets all
that
mad,
was
and
awesome.
it carries over to later. But yeah, I did the whole thing with the rats, and I squished them all to see if they said
cool.
anything.
Anything happen?
No, they didn't say anything. They were just like complaining about the gangs and like, come on, man. But we skipped some important stuff here with
So why don't you tell us about
Chow.
this amazing? Yeah, why don't you give us the lowdown on Maggie Chow and what you get out of that whole quest line?
Oh man, it's been a bit, but so the entire thing when you get here in Hong Kong is that there's some special weapon that was stolen from there's the triad.
There's two triads. There's the one of them is like an arrow or something like that.
Oh, the red arrow.
Red arrow, and then there's some other, I forget.
Yeah, something else. Either way, there was a move done to kind of remove this weapon, and it's pitting the two gangs against each other. It turns out Maggie Chow kind of, I think, had this in kind of a secret room, and then you see, because you learn through some, I think like a conversation she had with somebody else, if I'm not mistaken, where you actually grab the sword, what's it called? Something dragon?
The dragon's tooth, I think, maybe.
Dragon? Okay.
Dragon sword, dragon tooth, something like that.
Which is the very powerful sword that I use for a lot of the games.
By the way, it was the red arrow and the luminous path are the two triads that are kind of pit against each other. The way that I actually discovered her manipulation is she actually sends you to the Hong Kong police. She's like, hey, there's a document here that will explain everything. And you go there, and I guess you more or less have to kill the cops. You might be able to sneak in there, but you go in there and you read that Maggie actually was the one that is plotting against them. And you go back to Maggie's place, and she's actually gone, but security guards come out and they actually start trying to kill you.
You know what's funny is if you go there after the conversation with her and you start snooping around, the maid will come in, and she's like, "You're not supposed to be here," and she'll say that a couple times, and then she just pulls out a handgun and starts shooting you, and I'm like, "What?" And then all the alarms trigger, and
There's a couple of times you realize pretty much everyone in this game is packing some serious heat. You just have to upset them enough for it to happen.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
So we did get the dragon's tooth. The big thing about this one is it's supposed to be like infinitely sharp and never dulls, because when you look at it, it's basically an energy sword.
Yeah.
And it's probably the best weapon in the game, I'd say.
It's very good.
You can just pretty much walk up to anyone and kill them in 1 or 2 hits. And I use this a lot.
Yep, and pairing with the combat augment, you can also use it to like break open like safes and stuff, because it'll get you strong enough to break stuff that's about 60% like strength value. So like you can knock down doors, you can open like safes and all sorts of ridiculous stuff.
Yeah, and here we're actually having a confrontation with Maggie Chow. And she says, "Hey, I'm gonna kill you." And she's got a dragon's tooth also, or dragon sword. But I'm just better at hitting. I kill her in 2 hits there.
What's funny is I saw her from a distance, and I just used my GEP gun and blew her up. And I was like, "Okay, oh my gosh!" And you threw her in the pit.
Threw her into the. So again, we're throwing out a lot of terms here because there's a lot going on. But there's this thing called the universal constructor, which I think is what's making the Gray Death. I don't remember, but anyway, we were blowing up the universal constructor, and I threw Maggie Chen's dead body in the universal constructor as I blew it up. And then I'm exiting here.
Oh yeah.
And as much as so, all right. So let's talk a little bit about the plot here. Okay. So far, it's been pretty focused, right? You've got a virus out there. You've got some a terrorist organization who you realize is actually kind of part of the actual people. You've got the cops, which seemingly are bad, and then some contacts in Hong Kong. So it's not too crazy yet. I can follow all this, and things start to get quite a bit more wild now. So I believe after the Universal Constructor is destroyed, Tracer Tong, who is your contact in Hong Kong, he's like inspecting the molecules, and he's like, "Oh, this thing's got like 10 receptor nodes or 12 receptor nodes on it." And he's like, "Oh, that's a classic pattern of the Illuminati."
Oh,
and you're
right.
like, "Okay, all right. Tell me about the Illuminati."
Yeah.
And this is where things just go off the rails and crash into a burning building. So
and depending on what you think, it might have gone off earlier in that, because I believe in the facility where you destroy the Universal Constructor, I think is that the same facility where they're like synthesizing stuff? There's a bunch of
because that's VersaLife in Hong Kong. Yeah.
And then you find, oh, hey, there's like this room back here that's really like highly irradiated, and oh, there's some aliens that they're holding back here. And like, there's all sorts of weird stuff going on.
Yeah, straight up like gray aliens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's certainly aliens. There's the Illuminati. There's a lot of. Here's what, honestly, I feel like someone. I don't know if Wikipedia existed in 2000, but someone pulled up a dictionary and they learned about conspiracy theories, and they're like, we're gonna make a game with every conspiracy theory ever and put it all into one plot, because honestly,
interweave them, and why not?
Like I maybe there's something about the JFK assassination in here, because I'm not sure that no stone goes unturned here with what they're willing to throw into the story. And this is one of the reasons why I kind of wanted to focus on the first half, because after the second half, so many new people get introduced and so many new things happen, and you're just like, how does this really relate anymore? And ultimately, there's essentially three factions that we're working with, right? There's there's Washington, which is headed up more or less by like Bob Page. You can kind of consider him like the chaotic evil, right? He just wants to take over the world. Then you have Tracer Tong and his group, then the Triads. They're faction number 2, and then faction number 3 is the Illuminati, headed by Morgan Everett. And again, the spider webs get really deep. Like you learn, Bob Page came from Illuminati and formed a group called the Majestic 12.
Right.
Man, I don't know. What what are your thoughts on all this lore here, Lobos?
Well, I do think it's interesting because each faction has their own like extreme desire for how things are going to play out. And Tracer Tong is basically like eliminate all like the internet and communication and everything, so like none of this stuff can happen, and
go back to the Stone Ages, basically.
Yeah. And then like the Illuminati want you to keep everything going, and you can rule from the shadows.
Yeah, they're like, hey, we're gonna do it right this time.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And then Bob Page obviously just wants to take over the world and kill everyone, or I don't know, just rule with supreme power here.
Yeah.
So you kind of go all around the world, and there's large swaths of the game where we're literally just going to skip over here. You do go to Paris here, and you meet up with Gunther, and Gunther is going to kill you or attempt to kill you. I circumvented that by actually shooting him in the head a couple times before he sees me, and then I think I end up hitting him with the sword a couple times. I don't really remember.
All of these like one-on-one like dual fights, all I did was bust out the GEP gun, and then they almost pretty much everybody just gets insta-gibbed. Like you just shoot them and then they explode, and you're like, all right, well that solves that.
Yeah, you were definitely carrying some heavy machinery as I was watching you.
I got that GEP gun, I don't know, in the first like 2 hours, and I never put it down. Like it took up so much space in my inventory, but it was always my go-to.
I think it's a good like 1/4 of your inventory, right?
It's a lot. I think it's like 6 squares, so like a 2x3 kind of configuration.
There's definitely some weirdness in how you use items. So, for instance, you'll find combat armor in the game, and so you're like, all right, So first of all, you take out the combat armor, and you literally like hold it in front of your body like a phone book, and then you're like, all right, I'm gonna actually use it, and so you put it on, and it's actually a timed thing, which is really, really kind of weird. Yeah. It's not like armor that counts down something like a Doom, right? It's like, well, for the next 30 seconds, you take reduced damage. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't find those type of units very useful.
I didn't find them very useful either.
Except for the hazmat suit and there's an O2 rebreather you can use, which allows you to kind of stay underwater for a little bit longer.
Yep. Again, all of them are just like a duration. So you have to really consider when to use them, which I guess is a strategic element. But then the rest of the time, they're just cluttering your inventory, and you're like, I might just throw it on the ground here. But yeah, it's cool. So yeah, you start working to create a cure. Yeah.
I think you're basically you have to like get plans, or you might have already got plans. I'm not sure. And Walter Simmons, he's actually, if you remember, way back in UNATCO, there was that guy that was cussing out your boss there, Manderley.
Government official.
Government official happens to be Walter Simons, and I don't know if he reveals it yet. But he's like, I bet you didn't know it, but I'm just like you. And it's like he's literally got like wires hanging off his body and like sparks going. And like he couldn't be more of a cyborg if he tried. And he's like, surprise. Oh, now real quick, I want to talk about this situation because this is hilarious.
Oh, yes.
You go to where Jock is and you go and talk to a mechanist or a mechanic. And in the dialogue, actually, you see like a dead body of a mechanic lying in the background. And I'm like, well, this is weird. And he seems kind of sketchy. He's like, hey, oh yeah, just checked out the plan for you. And then so I'm like, all right, there's something weird going on here. So I actually pick up the body and I throw it in front of him. I'm like, hey, what'd you do here? He doesn't acknowledge it. So I'm just like, I'm gonna see what happens if I kill him. And when you kill him, his body is listed as odd mechanic. And what's awesome about this is then you can go to Jock here and you're playing. It's like, hey, why'd you kill Everett's mechanic? Everett is one of the guys from the Illuminati. And JC is like, something didn't seem right. You better check out the systems. And Jock's like, holy crap, there's a bomb on this ship. Thanks for saving us. And so you disarm the bomb. And I know firsthand, because I watched your stream, Lobos, you unfortunately did not see that there was a fake mechanic here. And poor Jock.
I saw the body, but I didn't think anything of it.
Oh, okay.
Because
eventually, I think it's on the last mission. If you didn't disarm the bomb does blow up, and poor Jock. He dies.
He died in my game. Yeah, I just got kind of used to the idea that there were going to be bodies all over the place because I put them there.
Especially with you coming around with that get gun,
I'm
right?
like, well, that's weird. This guy's dead. Whatever. I'm going like. Yeah, but that was really cool that existed, and my lack of attention, unfortunately, led to the demise of our trusty Jock.
Yeah, but that's what's really cool about this game is we'll talk about you saw something I didn't, I saw something you didn't, and there's that shared experience there where we can talk about what we found.
Yeah. I actually never used this light anti-tank RPG
I think it's like it's a one-shot thing. So you go into, I'm trying to remember which area we're in right now.
Let's see. Is
this the Vandenberg Air Force Base? I think that's what this is.
It looks like it.
And it's on lockdown, and there's 4 mechs that you need to kill.
Yeah.
And so my guy didn't have a whole lot of heavy weaponry, but I did have a rocket launcher I found, and so you basically kill those 4 mechs, and then they can take the Air Force off of lockdown and allow you to proceed. And I just used a really cool skill. I didn't know if you used this one at all. That was super kill.
No, I didn't see it.
Okay, so the way augs work is when you pick up an aug, you can install it and you get one of 2. So usually it's like here's your combat ability or here's like your stealth ability. And so I figured you probably went with a lot of the combat stuff. But one of the abilities you can have is a drone, like a scout drone.
Yeah.
And what that does is it actually pulls up like a little screen in screen, and you actually control this thing around, move it around. And what's great about this is when you blow it up, it actually does an EMP. And so you can use that to disable bots. You can use that to disable some security grids. And so, or you could use it to actually kind of scout ahead what's in front of you. So that's a pretty handy little bot. You have to make sure you're not in the EMP blast because it'll drain your energy as well. But a lot of different ways to play on this.
Nice.
So a couple other interesting ones. I think we see this later on, but I get a light amplification thing. So my game is kind of dark, so I used a flashlight a lot. But the flashlight has the side effect of alerting enemies because they can see your flashlight. Later on, you get an AUG for your eyes, where you can have sort of like a light amplification thing. And as you upgrade that, you can actually start to see through walls, which is super cool. So you can a lot of times what I would do is I'd have an enemy that I could see moving through like a hallway, and so I'm like, okay, I'm going to be into this hallway just around the corner. I'm going to pull up my sword, and as I see him rounding, I'm going to jump out and stab him with the sword, and that's so much fun. I love doing that.
Awesome. I was just noticing in some of the lore stuff that we were doing, you've been talking to Daedalus for a while, and then there's another seemingly like AI that contacts you named Icarus.
And
then and then at some point they merge or something,
and they become Helios. Oh my gosh!
Icarus flying too close to the sun. The Daedalus's father. Yeah, it's they're just doing all sorts of stuff with this.
Why not?
And then on this mission, you're here to rescue the daughter.
So yeah, I actually did skip that, but yeah, you do find out that one of the head researcher's daughter was captured, and she's in a gas station. So you go in there, James Bond style. You have to make sure not to be spotted, because if you get spotted, they'll kill her.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we just kind of skipped over that, and then. Oh yeah, I think this is the light amplification. You can kind of see through. Oh, I guess I don't have the see through walls yet. But yeah, you find out that that guy's daughter was a researcher of some sort, and she was in the underwater base here.
Yep.
And so
she was going to collect some sort of data to potentially allow them to help manufacture a cure for the Grey Death.
Yeah, and so you go there, and this is. You're talking about walking around, there's just dead bodies. It seems like it's one of these things where the system, like the base itself, went rogue and locked down and killed everyone. Because you do walk around, and it's basically everyone in their nice work clothes are just lying dead on the floor, and it's like, wow, this and actually you walk through a couple of the areas, and there's turrets that are shooting you.
There's turrets, and there's like loose wires and live wires just everywhere, and it's a mess.
Yeah, so I'm trying to remember, like, what, again, are we trying to capture plans here, or are we?
Yeah, so the data that what's his name, Gary Savage?
Yeah, Gary Savage. Daughter, what a great name, by the way.
It's a good name. His daughter was trying to acquire some data, but she failed. She was captured, and so you're like, I'll go do it in place, and they're like, you don't have to do it. You're like, I'll do it, and so I'm JC Denton.
That's right. We're getting the universal constructor schematics. That's what it is. Because I think what we have is we have the plans to make the cure, but now we need a universal constructor because we already blew up the other one. And then Bob Page, after you get that, Bob Page has basically said, hey, I've been watching you all along. We're going to beat you in the race here. I'm not sure what. Oh yeah. So I think he's basically saying, despite the fact that you have a cure, we can still modify it. I think he even just says, I just need to find like a really large prime number and multiply, and I have a completely new virus.
Yeah, but I remember now that like he was in the Illuminati and left.
Yeah,
but there
the Majestic 12.
Yes, but whoever created the virus in the first place, like, was it Everett? I don't remember.
I think
it was a member of the Illuminati.
Yeah. Because
And like they
yeah,
were the
because
genius.
it was intended to be used for augmentation technology. I don't know specifically how, but I do know that that's the case there. Okay, so geez, man, where are we going next?
Heck yeah, to Area 51.
Area
Why
51.
not? We already saw
Which, by the
aliens.
way, we just bombed, didn't we? Wait, no, we will end this mission shooting a missile out of here. I think. I can't remember. In any case, this is the part where Jock, I believe, would have died. Is that right?
Yeah, right. He flies off there, I think, and then the helicopter blows up.
But as if he stays alive, he'll actually say, "Hey, watch out, JC! There's a sniper in the tower there." So I guess that's a little reward for keeping him alive. Not super handy,
I think
but
he told me too.
Oh,
but then he blew
okay.
up.
Jeez.
Does he not come back later? Is there no more? I don't know.
No, he doesn't ever come back later.
Oh man, Jock.
Yeah. So So actually, I'm reviewing the notes here. Yeah, we do end up shooting a missile at Area 51, which is where Majestic 12 is now headquartered. And we're at the final location here. Geez, I am out of breath talking about this. Why don't you tell me about this fight?
Bob Page is here, and he's like, I'm going to merge with the AI in order
Helios, right?
Yeah, Helios. And the AI is contacting you like, hey, you can merge with me instead.
He's like, Bob's too weak. I don't want him. I want you.
And then Morgan Everett's like, yeah, just shut down all the stuff. I think leave everything intact, though, so we can continue to rule. Yeah. And then Tracer Tong's like, blow it all up. No, just get rid of it all. And you're just like, oh, boy, what do I do? There's aliens everywhere. There's giant, like, mutant lizards being infinitely spawned until you close the door on them. Then they don't...
it's crazy, man. What is happening?
It is cool, though, because, like, this is technically like a final boss sequence, but there's not really
so many different ways to finish it, right?
You're still it's more of a final encounter where you are still roaming around an area and you're deciding what you want to do. Ultimately, my decision was that I would merge with the AI, and
what did you have to do to merge? Like, what was the sequence of that?
There were, I think, some sort of like safety locks that you had to disable on the AI that would allow you to fully merge with it. I don't think I actually played out the rest of the sequences, like the different options that you had. But definitely Bob Page was like, hey, no, don't do this. Why can't I merge?
For what I did, there's these 4 blue canisters that are powering the AI. And you basically turn those off, and then you can reroute power and basically allow the... So I ended up choosing the Illuminati ending. So I basically...
okay.
And after you complete that, it basically goes to a loading screen, and that's your end sequence here. So you probably saw something different, but my guy's talking with Morgan Everett, and he's like, hey, yeah, we're gonna lead from the shadows. We're going to do it right this time. Good job. And I think actually you're one of the leaders, if not the leader of the Illuminati. Tell me about the assimilation, though.
Yeah, the assimilation just involves you talking with the AI. Oh yeah, and then I think what it is like basically the AI runs the world and like governs, and you're part of that. So I mean, you become it because you merge with it, and then it's just
in order to save humanity, I must eliminate humanity, sort of thing, right?
Yeah, the kind of thing where like there's not going to be like gray areas. There's going to be rigid, like this is that and this is that. Don't do this, and you're good, and like that sort of thing. So
I do like that none of the endings are great. They're all kind of just like shades of
this
bad,
is the good ending.
Right?
Yeah, they're like. That's what I was saying. They're all like extremes.
Yeah.
They're like, all right, destroy everything. It's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, very cool. I loved all the choices and how they play out and that sort of thing.
I'll tell you what, I had a lot of fun talking about this. It's certainly exhausting to try to hit all the high points there, but I think you and I covered the most of it, right? And hopefully
I think we did a good job.
Still enough out there to explore and discover if some of the stuff sounds interesting.
For sure,
So
and even if you know the
next.
whole story, like the gameplay and then just the options within the story are fun enough to go through and do on your own. So yeah, recommend.
Oh, great. So let's hear your kind of closing thoughts on the game. Walk me through, like, hey, is this something that you were like, yeah, man, I'm actually really glad that I got a chance to look into this? Or
well, yeah, it's real interesting to look at this and the fact that in a couple weeks, Cyberpunk is coming out.
Yeah,
and they're Cyberpunk as a genre, I guess, or just as a universe, kind of seems to come and go. I feel like in popularity.
That's true.
So it'll be really interesting to compare and see how they did it then, how they did it now. But yeah, Deus Ex reminded me a lot of System Shock mixed with Half-Life mixed with like some sort of stealth game. I Metal Gear Solid, I guess, just because some of the cutscenes
mixed with the
stuff
dark web.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. It throws a lot in there. I think the gameplay was really satisfying, and there's a whole bunch of stuff to just explore. And I didn't mention it before, but I really think they did a cool job with Hong Kong and creating a vibe of you're on the streets. Also, these little kiosks.
We're going to talk about this in the Game of the 2000 Deliberations, but man, oh man, the music. Woo!
Oh, yeah.
That's some good beats to listen to there.
Very
especially the Hong Kong music. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, this is one of those old games in which they use every single keyboard on the keyboard to do different things. You have you have all your augs, you've got crouch, you've got lean left, lean right, activate doors. There's so many things.
Zoom with bracket, all sorts of stuff.
And there is multiplayer, and I didn't check it out. I do remember trying it out way back in the day, and it wasn't necessarily fun. But this is one of those where I think every game is kind of pressured to have some sort of death match or whatever. All right. Well, that's going to wrap up Deus Ex. So we wanted to thank everyone for listening to us on the podcast. And of course, wanted to give a big shout out to our new Patreon supporters for this episode. We got a new one by the name of Vlad. So thank you so much, Vlad, for helping to support the show. And if you wanna help us out and support the show, you can head on over to patreon.com/Saturday Morning Gaming Show to learn more. And again, Vlad's gonna get us one step closer to that Patreon goal of playing Earthbound. So that's gonna be quite interesting when we hit that goal.
25 patrons for Earthbound. That sounds like a good deal to me.
Yeah, and also, I just want to put this out there. We have episode 25 coming up in December, so something to think about, right?
Speaking of thinking about episode 25, what game are we playing next?
So here's the thing. I love holiday episodes because it allows me to get back to games that have that like warm, fuzzy feeling in your heart. And I'm sure you probably feel the same about this next game. And I think it's actually kind of fitting. So again, this is kind of a big milestone, 25 big episodes. The December will be episode 25. And if you remember, what was the first game we played?
Was it Link to the Past?
It was.
Oh.
So why don't we check out some more Zelda? What do you think?
I'm down.
Are you down with that?
I'm down.
How about we go back as old as it can go, back on the NES? For Zelda, the Legend of Zelda on the NES. That sounds like a good one to play, right?
Oh man, yeah. I actually have never played through the Legend of Zelda.
I've never beaten it. I got really close, and I've never beaten it. So
I've not even been close. So
that's gonna. It's gonna be good. I'm super excited because I remember some of the old secrets, and I'm gonna be definitely watching your stream to see
good.
Oh man, there's gonna be so much backseating. It's gonna be beautiful, and I'll be curious to see if you are able to find some of the secrets.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, super excited for that, but sadly, we have reached the end credits of this episode. And we wanted to thank everyone for listening to us on the podcast or watching us on YouTube on LobosJr's YouTube channel.
We release a new podcast monthly, so make sure to follow and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Google, whatever you want. And if you have feedback, send it back to us on Twitter at Saturday M Gaming. Excuse me. Or toss us an email, SaturdayMorningGamingShow@gmail.com.
Yeah, and wanted to give a special shout out to TechnoAxe for the music on this episode.
For Saturday Morning Gaming Show, I am Lobos.
And I'm the Fat Wizard. We'll see you in December for The Legend of Zelda on the PC.
On the NES.
On the NES. We'll see you in December for The Legend of Zelda on the NES.